All right, so subtracting integers with manipulatives is another way that you can kind of work out what your answer is going to be if you have like a negative number subtraction problem. It can get a little confusing, so we're going to do a couple examples together. I also will remind you, if you're in my class, that you're looking at the directions and the steps and looking at our example problems. So we're going to start off when we're subtracting integers, where integers are any whole number, positive or negative or zero. We're going to start off with the problem 3 minus 2. So that's a simple problem. That's a problem we all know the answer to. 3 minus 2 is going to equal 1. I would show that by doing the following steps. First, I want to predict if it's going to be positive or negative. We want to do this just thinking about being metacognitive. Before we start a problem, if we can get an idea of what our answer should be, that's going to be a really good thing. That's going to help us to see patterns and things like that. It's going to be a positive answer. That'd be my prediction. Then I'm going to look at the second number. Now this is the difference from doing the addition one, is that you want to look and say this number right here, is that a positive or a negative number? In this case, it's a positive number. I'm subtracting a positive number. If it said minus negative 2, that would mean I'm subtracting a negative number, but I'm subtracting positives. That's important because when I start using my manipulatives, when I start putting them out, I want to take away positives. I want to take away plus signs. So I have 3 positives right here. I'm going to start by just doing the first number, just like I did when I was adding. Now I'm not going to add more pieces to it though. I'm subtracting. I want to take away 2 positives. So I would take 2 positives, I would pull them away, and I'm left with an answer of positive 1. Okay. And so again, that was the answer we all knew it was going to be, but that just shows how we can do it with manipulatives. If I was drawing it, I would have 1, 2, 3 positives. I'm taking away 2 of them, so I like to circle them to say it's like I'm taking them away, and I'm left with 1 as an answer. So let's say we had something like 3 minus 4. If I have 3 minus 4, I'm going to start with the 3 positives. Oh, and I actually should have predicted first what it was going to be. And I probably would have noticed that I am working with another positive number that I'm taking away. So I have 3 and I'm taking away 4. I am probably going to have a negative answer here. I set up my 3 positives. Now I have to take away 4. I don't have 4 positives to take away. I'm going to remember back to what I was doing before. Remember that if I have a plus and a minus, together a positive 1 plus a negative 1 equals 0. So if I added this to a problem, it's like I'm adding 0 to a problem. But if I add this 0 right here, the value of this left side is still 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 minus 1 is 3. This is still equal to 3. But now I have 4 positives that I can take away. So if I take away those 4 positives, I'm left with just 1 negative. And my answer is then to that problem a negative 1. I could draw that out by drawing 3 positives to start off with. I need to take away 4, so I'm going to have to add a pair. A pair of a positive and zeros only equals, of positives and negatives equals 0. So I can do positive and negative. I can then circle those 4 positives, and that leaves me with an answer of negative 1. Okay. I'm going to draw a little line. We're going to do a couple more of these. Let's say I had negative 3 minus 3. Now a lot of times when we're subtracting, we have 2 numbers here. I had a lot of students today who were saying, oh, that's going to be a positive answer, or there's like, oh, maybe it's a negative answer. It gets a little tricky with subtraction. Okay, if I was to look at these, I'm at negative 3, I'm subtracting 3, going to the left on a number line, I'm going to have a negative answer. But I'm going to show it by doing the following. 1, 2, 3 negatives. Then I want to look at this number right here. Again, I'm taking away a positive 3. I do not have any positives to take away. So I'm going to have to add pairs without changing the value that then lets me take away a positive. So if I add a plus and a minus, now I could take away 1 positive, but I need to take away more than that. So I'm going to have to add another one. Now I have 2 positives I could take away, but I need to take away 3. So I just add pairs until I have what I need to remove. Now I can subtract the positive 3. So I pull those 3 away. And I'm left with 6 negative pieces right? Or an answer of -6. Again, I can draw that doing the same thing. Start with 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3. I need to subtract 3 positives. I don't have those, so I'm going to keep adding pairs. 1, 2, 3. Now I look, so I have 3 that I can subtract, so I circle those 3. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. Do another example. These have all been subtracting positive numbers. But I might have something like 2 minus -3. Again, I put parentheses if I have if I have a sign after an operation. So I'm going to look at my number. I'm going to say, is that going to be positive or negative? I'm going to start looking for patterns, because if I have a positive minus a negative, it's always going to give me a positive answer. This right here is a negative number, though. I am subtracting a negative, not a positive. It's a negative. So I'm going to start with my 2. 1, 2. I'm going to look for some negatives to take away. Now, I don't have any negatives here, so I can't just take away a negative. I have to start putting in some pairs until I have enough. So you can see it. There's 1 pair, and I have 1 negative. I need 3 of them, so I'm going to have to put in 3 pairs. Now I have put in the 3 pairs. The value of this is still 2. Right, these cancel each other, these cancel out, these cancel out. But I can now remove the 3 negatives, so I can do the math, subtracting a -3. That leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as my answer, positive 5 as my answer. I can write that out the same way. 2 positives. Want to take away a -3. Have to add 3 pairs. 1, 2, 3. Subtract my 3 negatives. I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positives. I'm going to do one more quick example, and I'm just going to write this one. And that's going to be -2 minus -3. So I have a lot of negatives going on here. This isn't like the addition where we would say, oh, I just have negative numbers. My answer is going to be negative. I'm going to start with 2 negatives. 1, 2. I have to take away 3 negatives. And I look at this right here. I'm subtracting a negative number. That means I'm going to have to add 1 more pair. Now I have 3 negatives. Circle those to take them away, and my answer is just going to be +1. All right.